So welcome to Dynamics Connections webinar on how to connect with more Microsoft and Acumatica VARs. Our agenda today is we're going to review a little bit about Dynamics Connections, who we are, our values, our team, and a little bit about the market. I'm also going to review some updates we're making for 2026, share about our clients, some testimonials, and also review some of our most recent metrics from our fall semester, which just completed at the end of January, pricing and next steps. So thank you again for joining to learn more about Dynamics Connections and how we can help serve you. So who are we? Well, Dynamics Connections, we consider ourselves a matchmaker for ISVs, and how we educate those partners is through educational sessions. I host one-on-one meetings with individual partners and their teams. Usually we have about 5 to 7 meetings per week on our Dynamics side and about 1 to 2 on our Acumatica side. We also provide research and resources for partners that are looking for solutions to help fill gaps for their customers. And we've been doing this for over 8 years now on the SMB channel in North America. So we have definitely a proven track record. And how we help ISVs get connected to VARs is through our one-on-one educational programs that I host once a quarter with individual partners and their teams. We also host a monthly webinar. I call it kind of our makeup session because sometimes the partners can't join a meeting. Maybe they had a client emergency or they're out of town. So I'll invite them to the next monthly meeting and they get the same content, but it's in a webinar format. We also introduce or invite others from our mailing list. We also post invites on our LinkedIn, and a lot of people join that way too. And we also provide those introductions. So when I meet with partners and do a presentation once a quarter, through that, they're getting to know a little bit about you. I talk about each of the ISVs in that introduction in about a 3 to 5 minute overview. And so I can do up to 10 in an hour or up to 5.5 hours. And at the end, if they raise their hand and say, yes, I'd like more information, I do a personal introduction email right away. But either way, you get a weekly, what I call a lead sheet. And that lead sheet is a list of all the contacts I met with during that week. So each of the partners and contacts that attended. And so you can look through that lead sheet and that will tell you if they have heard of you. In fact, as I go through and I'm meeting with them, I'm recording some of their feedback or their notes. Do they know you? Have they worked with you? And anything that I think might be interesting for you to know. And that goes on that lead sheet that you get once a week. So it's a great way to recruit partners, but also build your contact list with those partners. We've been doing this since 2017. And we've presented over 97 clients now in the ISV space in Dynamics and Acumatica. Actually, several of those have come back more than once, so we've presented over 200 times. We have an audience of about 180 ERP VARs, and that includes both Dynamics and Acumatica. We also have had over 5,300 meetings on our Dynamics side, so that's a lot of meetings in the last 8 years. We've generated almost 11,000 total leads, again, for our Dynamics channel primarily here. We consider a lead warm or a hot lead when they've raised their hand. A warm lead is maybe they mentioned something, they have an interest, a prospect, they don't ask for me to connect them. Maybe they say they never heard of you. So those are what I consider a warm lead. And then if they raise their hand, I send them that introduction email. I consider that a hot lead. And those total leads, 2,600 are considered hot leads. So that's about 26%. Average number of leads that we generate per semester for a group has been around 435 leads over the last 2 years. And that averages out to about 55 leads per ISV for a 6-month semester. And 54% of our ISV clients have used our program more than once, which I feel very proud that they trust us to come back again and use our services. So our vision is to be the best and the most well-informed resource on ISVs for VARs. How we do that is we're connecting VARs with the most relevant Dynamics and Acumatica ISVs for their products or services through targeted research and personalized introductions. And kind of behind the scenes in our team, we've got myself, Carol Livingston. I'm the owner and president, and Brian Livingston, who does marketing and all our video productions. So if you ever watched any of our webinars or video recordings, you'll notice that that's Brian's handiwork there. Okay, so let's talk about the market. So first, the Dynamics market. So in Business Central, I just looked this morning on AppSource, or now it's called Microsoft Marketplace. There are over 8,500, almost 8,600 apps. I think they're gaining about 300 to 500 apps per month. So there's a heck of a lot of apps out there for clients and partners to choose from. And as far as that list, that's a good list to go to, but how do you know that they're really that good? Maybe they're good. You can see if they have any reviews, but with our experience, we do have a lot of information on how strong they are and some things, and maybe even where they're not the strongest. Also, directions, EMEA and Poland last November. They announced that they had just crossed 50,000 Business Central customers. So that's pretty exciting because NetSuite was expected to have about 44,000 customers at the end of 2025. So that means they're growing fast. So the fastest growing segment in the SMB space for the Biz Apps division of Microsoft, or now they're called AI Business Solutions. And they are exceeding their competitor, which NetSuite, they've pretty much caught up to them now. In the Dynamics GP space, which we have a lot of partners still that are active, we guess there's around 30,000 estimated active GP customers. I know at one point their peak probably was around 50,000 GP customers, and that came from a Microsoft source. Estimates are always a guess, right? It might be a little more, might be a little less than 30,000, but that's still a lot of customers still using Dynamics GP and will be for a while. And kind of the role of ISVs as companion products is that VARs understand the ISVs are extremely important, add value to the market. Business Central partners are also understanding now the value of ISV products. And I have to kind of mention this because I noticed that the NAV kind of traditional NAV partners always wrote custom everything, right? And so instead of looking to ISVs to fill a gap, they would often just propose a customization. So that's why I'm saying business partners now, Business Central partners are starting to understand the value. GP partners are starting to ask for those BC ISVs. That trend took an uptick 2 years ago when Microsoft announced the end of support for Dynamics GP. So partners are looking to help those clients make that transition to the cloud. And ISVs are entering from other dynamics or other ecosystems. In fact, this semester in the spring, I have a WMS and TMS product from another ecosystem, NetSuite, and also Acumatica. So they're entering the dynamic space. So very exciting times. All right. And then also on the Acumatica side, so we don't want to forget that. Acumatica has over 500 partners. At the Acumatica Summit, they announced, they have 500 partners. When I asked the Acumatica employee, what does that mean? They said, well, it's probably the resellers plus any ISVs that they have partnerships with. So a pretty significant number of partners, though, now and growing. A couple of years ago, in 2023, they announced they had just passed the 10,000 customer threshold. Subsequent year, they announced that they had grown 37%. So since then, they really haven't discussed their growth or how many customers they had. So at least as a couple of years ago, they had 13,000 customers. So it's growing. In companion products, there's over 200 listed in the Acumatica Marketplace. They, about 2 or 3 years ago, started changing the vetting process. And for you to get listed on the marketplace, of course, you have to have 10 referenceable clients. You have to have a product manager sponsor from Acumatica. So there's a lot more requirements to become certified or always current and be listed in the marketplace. So that can kind of fluctuate around that 200 mark. So that means there's an opportunity. There's lots of ISVs that are not listed yet or maybe won't ever be in the marketplace. And of course, Acumatica partners also understand the value of ISVs. Again, why I'm in the Acumatica space is some of my Dynamics partners also have Acumatica practices. So they came with that expectation of very vibrant ecosystem. Other partners are now asking for Acumatica ISV, and also ISVs are entering from other ERP ecosystems. So I'm seeing now Dynamics partner or ISVs beginning to make their solution compatible with Acumatica. And I'm sure that's true from the other ecosystems as well. And again, marketing through the partner channel gives you the opportunity. I actually have heard this a couple times that, in fact, today, talking with somebody, that they do see a higher close rate. It does take a while to develop that partner relationship, but when a partner brings you a opportunity, it's more likely to close. I had one partner quote me that about 30% higher close rate on an opportunity brought by a partner. So it's definitely worth an investment to market through the partner channel. You get that multiplier effect. I like to say most customer partners have a lot of customers, 100, maybe 200 customers. If you work with them and they begin to understand your value, then they're going to be able to recommend that to their clients. So that instead of you marketing directly to customers, now you have that sales team out there talking to customers directly for you. Partner to partner model that helps reach more customers. And also, just another note on the Acumatica side, that the Acumatica was acquired last year by Vista Partners. They invest in technology companies, and we're seeing some changes happening. Acumatica Summit, we saw a leadership change on the product side. There's some changes that are anticipated or happening. So anyway, it is good that they have the investment to continue to do the research and development, but they're probably going to give them some more direction and focus around streamlining things, being more efficient with the cost side. All right, so some challenges the ISVs face, and you probably will find at least one of these will resonate to generating leads with VARs. So first of all, maybe you don't know who the VARs are, the contacts. That's pretty common. VARs are too busy or they just don't respond. So what I find is, especially, I don't know, over the last maybe 6 months, VARs seem extremely busy with project work. So they're not trying to be rude. They're just too busy. They don't come to your webinars. They don't read your emails. They don't ask for appointments. VARs are unaware of ISVs or updates with ones that they're familiar with or already working with. Again, maybe they don't read those marketing emails. And they just don't know. So being part of our program helps them kind of keep up to date or learn of new ones. And it is hard to generate opportunities with VARs. I find that it is a good avenue once you are collaborating with that partner, but getting there, it does take a while. You have to nurture that relationship, earn their trust, do a really good job with their customers. And so there's always that chance that you might get an opportunity from somebody who just has a random opportunity that comes up. But if you're building that relationship, you're going to be able to generate opportunities with that VAR's help. So from our service, Dynamics Connections, compared to maybe other options out there in the marketing world, there's tons of events. There's effect on the marketing budgets. I'm noticing that people are saying that their budgets are stretched pretty thin. There's so many more events or conferences to sponsor, so that cost is going up, travel, partners are busy, and they're not all attending events anyway. But other options is maybe you use another lead generating service. There's some that out there that work with kind of a membership kind of approach where you collaborate to generate leads as a group. There's paid listings or free listings. There's other ways to generate some leads with individual partners or customers. You could work on your own, but you don't always have those contacts. So who do you reach out to? Partners just don't return calls or emails, again, or LinkedIn messages. And maybe you host a webinar or an event and they don't always attend. So those always are challenges with marketing activities. Now, on the Dynamics Connection side, we provide one-on-one quarterly meetings. We already have those on our calendar. Like I said, I probably host 5 to 7 individual VAR meetings per week with their teams. You get in a 6-month semester. So that's semester is the 6 months that we work together. So we have 2 periods a year. We have the spring that runs from February 1st through July, and then August 1st through January is our fall. But you heard me say I meet with the partners quarterly, right? So in that 6 months, we actually get 2 quarterly meetings or messages that we can present to those partners. In those sessions or semesters, you do not have a competing ISV. So if your topic is AP automation, once you sign that agreement, you're the first one that signed it for that semester. You're going to have that topic exclusive, right? So you're not going to be competing during that semester for that session with any other topics that are similar. You can offer exclusive offers to VARs, and I find that is one incentive. I try to tell the VARs, hey, if you join our education sessions, you do get offers that you wouldn't get otherwise. So that's very helpful to generate opportunities to meet with them and collaborate. You do get a perpetual listing on our ISV library. That's on our website, and you do have to create a profile and log in. So I try to make it a little exclusive to the partners, and that's a good way for partners. And I tell them when I meet with them, go ahead and use that. It's free for them to use, and it gives them a way to do research when they're looking for ISVs. And of course, as we meet with the partners every week, I send out a listing of the contacts I met with. I also indicate which ones are warm leads or hot leads. Again, warm leads are those they just said, hey, I never heard of them, or I might have an opportunity. I have to look into that. Or if they raise their hand at the end and said, I'd like more information, could you please introduce me? Those are considered hot leads. We've been doing this for 8 years, so you can trust that we've got a proven track record, a proven program that does work. And we have over 2,100 professionals on our mailing list. So I mentioned our monthly makeup sessions. So if the partner misses their call with me, they do have the opportunity to attend our monthly webinar. And I do send that same invite out to a lot of partners who are on our mailing list, don't meet with me individually. They just like to attend when they have time to the webinars as they can. Actually, I need to update those. I have over 4,300 LinkedIn connections now, so we're growing our LinkedIn. I think we're going to try to push through this year and hit our 5,000 milestone for LinkedIn connections. Now, there's 3 types of ISVs that work with our program. So kind of the first one is what I consider cross ERPs. So maybe they're on-prem ISV solutions or ERP solutions, and the client wants to go to the cloud. So we're seeing a lot of that. Many ISVs are moving from other ERPs to Dynamics. Maybe they're getting off of old legacy system, Sage or QuickBooks. And ISVs do fill native product gaps. And then there's also the smaller, newer ISVs. So I find that I'm a good value for those newer ISVs. Maybe they're not here in the United States or Canada, so they need someone kind of here locally in the US or Canada to represent them. Or they're just small. They just have a small team and they can't really hire a full-time business development rep. So I kind of act as that fractional representative for you. And it's an affordable way to get and grow your channel marketing program quickly. And we have even well-known ISVs join our program. So what do they gain out of it? Well, a lot of times, again, partners are busy. They're not reading all your emails about the latest and greatest. So it gives them an opportunity to learn what's new and about new features or new compatible ERPs that you work with. So even those well-known ISVs find value in joining our program. It also keeps ISVs top of mind. Sometimes it's been a while, or maybe they've heard about your solution a while ago, haven't worked with them recently. So it does help with that. And especially if you're moving into other ERP ecosystems, like I see a lot of what used to be a GP ISV is now also in Business Central and other solutions. Of course, there's mergers and acquisitions, rebranding, name changes. We do see that people come to us because they've changed their name or their brand or acquired and combined some products together. So it's a good opportunity to educate the partners about that. I did want to just touch on real quickly. So these were our topics or semesters that we had before 2026. So 2026, 25, and since like 2023, I think. We originally started in 2017 with just Dynamics partners and Dynamics ISVs. Then, of course, Microsoft released Business Central came along in 2017, 18, right? So we expanded and added that. And then there was so much more demand. I noticed that people wanted even more topics around Business Central. So we added another kind of VC only. And that's where it was recruiting new VARs that we were gaining and added them to that program. So they were just hearing about VC. And of course, we added Acumatica about 4 years ago. This year in 2026, so actually about a month ago, we just started the spring semester. We added 4 programs. So we have a new program for finance and supply chain. I've had a lot of requests about moving into the enterprise space. So I'm excited that we can finally make that happen. We also see an increase in ISVs that support cloud-based ERP. So Business Central, Acumatica, finance and supply chain. And with BC growing rapidly, we've seen a strong demand for those BC compatible ISVs. And then for GP VARs, we continue to support them as they support their customers, and they're still looking for ways to modernize their current systems while offering a path to the cloud ERPs in the future. So we still have and are offering a dedicated session for GP. And these updates also help us to align to Microsoft's new focus on AI business solutions and its evolving priorities. So a little bit about our clients who's worked with us in our program. You can see a lot of logos here over the last 8 years. We've worked with quite a few ISVs. On our website, there is a tab for Microsoft ISVs we've worked with. So there's a complete list there. There's also the Acumatica tab with a list of our current and past ISVs. So you can see who else has used our program. All right, and who's been in our program? So I'm just going to cover the most recent ones. So fall was from August 1st through the end of January. So again, we've changed our topics a bit, but last year we had a Business Central plus GP session. And so this was who was in that program. And again, kind of with our program, the topics you'll see here don't overlap. If we have an AR automation solution, I won't let another AR automation solution come in. So everybody gets their own unique exclusive topics, and you're not competing with ISVs in this session. And here we were balancing the Business Central with GP, but to be honest, it was starting to become pretty heavy towards the Business Central side. We also had a BC only, like I mentioned, we expanded and added just a BC focus session, which was a half hour. So we had up to 5 in that session. So again, same thing, the topics don't overlap, you don't compete, you get that exclusive topic. And then Acumatica, we had 5. And on the Acumatica, we're targeting about 30 to 35 partners, which we're pretty much there now. So we'll probably bump up our goal to continue to grow that. But we had 5 that we had in that space. And one thing you'll notice is that I do have people that do a double up. So like Vivid did both the Business Central and Acumatica session at the same time and got a package discount. All right, in our spring semester, which started February 1st for most of these. So we have remember our new topics are Business Central, GP, Acumatica, and finance and supply chain. So on our Business Central session, we had these 4, and again, topics don't overlap. For the finance and supply chain, we did not gain anybody. We talked to a lot of people. It does take a while, but probably this fall we'll have that kicked off. Our Dynamics GP session, we have 2. And our Acumatica, we have 3. And again, some of these are kind of new to me. Like I have not worked with some of these that are maybe more well-known in their ecosystem, but I did not have a chance to work with them. So I'm excited about that. And I want to just talk about, if you're curious to hear what do other ISVs say about using our service, you can go to our website under the resource tab, drop down to that list where it says ISV client endorsements, and you can view their testimonials. They're usually about 2 or 3 minutes long. But I just want to share with you maybe a little bit of what those clients have said about the value they found in using our service.
So excited to work with them that we signed on. I don't remember if it was 8 months or 9 months, but way in advance to make sure that we were locked in for AP automation.
There's a rule the Dynamics Connection team follows that will not allow competing interests to be represented at the same time. So we had to wait. So we decided to engage for the next semester. only to find out that our competitor was ahead of us again and had already booked that semester as well. So we put our deposit down to join the program the following year, and that's the spring semester of this year.
We wanted to start this actually a few years back, but because of some schedules, my travel and some conflict, we were not able to do it. But I wish we have done this maybe 3 years back when we introduced a couple of our new products. Then we would have easily penetrated into the market at that time.
We've seen so many new partner contacts. We've had so many introductory meetings, and we've already signed 2 new clients just out of the gate and getting started here. So ROI out the roof.
I can tell you that the experience has been fantastic. They really guide you through the entire process from start to finish. They help you build out your materials, your marketing materials. They even helped us with our aesthetics of our deck. And it's just been an amazing experience. The thing that surprises me, I think, the most is just the volume of connections you actually get from this program.
Already seeing a lot of introductions happening on a weekly basis. So we get introduced to quite a few partners. If you wanted to increase your partner network, I think the Dynamics Connections is the best place to start with. If you wanted to grow or get that quick start with a bunch of partners, which Dynamics Connections already have relations.
I'm Carol Livingston of Dynamics Connections, and we have a policy that each of our ISV clients get the exclusive topic during their semester. So it is first come, first serve. So if a client is already signed up, we will ask you to wait until the following semester. And it is worth the wait, but I would encourage you to sign up early. Yeah. So I would encourage you to go listen to some of those executives talking about their experience of working with us. So what are the services that we offer? We have those one-on-one quarterly meetings that are already on my calendar. Again, I probably have actually hold about 5 to 7 meetings a week on the Dynamics side, but I probably have more than that as people are traveling or have client emergencies. So usually the actual meetings that happen on a weekly basis is 5 to 7 meetings. But I already have those prearranged, right? So someone's just kind of rescheduling them. And I do the presentation. So you help me build a pitch deck that I include in a master slide deck. And I go through that presentation in about 3 to 5 minutes per ISV. And then at the end of that call, I'm always asking them with a list of all the ISVs we covered in that presentation, was there anything that they wanted more information that I could send to them? And if they raise their hand and say, yes, Carol, I'd like more information about this particular ISV, or like I said before, I'm taking notes. And if they mention during that call, I might circle back and say, hey, you said you're maybe interested in this one. Do you want me to connect you to my contact? So if they say yes, I will send off an introduction email that same day and introduce them to you. Otherwise, everybody I met with will get listed on a spreadsheet at the end of the week. I send that out and it will list all the contacts I met with from each VAR and their comments and also other information as well. So that comes out weekly. I call that a lead sheet, but it's more like a contact list. We also have another service as part of our program that you get that's included is you get one interview on our podcast called ISV Talks. Now, ISV Talks, we started about 4 years ago, and we really wanted to introduce the partners through a video concept. And I wanted to interview the ISVs and find out what made them unique. How do they help customers? I did not want a PowerPoint or demo. I just wanted them to talk to me about what makes them unique and how they help customers. So in that, we've had on our YouTube channel over 7,600 downloads or views. On our audio platform, which goes to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, we've had over 1,350 downloads, and that's in the last 2 years we've done that. We have a total of 170 podcast interviews we've done, and we have many subscribers on our YouTube and people following us through their audio platforms. Now, we also help with social media. We use LinkedIn primarily. I do have an X account, but I'd say LinkedIn is our primary way. We do welcome posts when you start with us. We have on our website events calendars. We do countdown to events. So if you're attending, say, Directions or Dynamics Con, we're going to want to get details so we can promote that for you. And we do also have a monthly newsletter as well. And you do get that listing on our library called the ISV Library on our website. So if you go to dynamicsconnections.com, go to the resource tab, drop down to the tab that says ISV Library. There's a little lock on it, so you do need to set up a profile. But I encourage you to look at that because that is a listing that stays on our website perpetually, so ongoing. You will still have that listing. You can always come back and ask me to update documents on it, but that's a great resource for the partners to use anytime. We also have a collaboration with a company called the Partner Index. You get a free listing for 6 months. That's a $600 value there. And also we have what we call our Great Start onboarding program. So that starts about 2 months prior to the semester starting. I like to give us plenty of time to get organized, gather materials for the ISV library, start working on a presentation, our follow-up processes. So I like to give us plenty of time to do that. So for fall semester, for example, it starts August 1st, but we'll start in May probably doing our kickoff and start meeting probably on a bi-weekly basis to get ready. After the semester is over, and I'm just wrapping up the final debrief for our past semester for the fall. And that's just an overview of all the metrics and results that we had delivered during that 6 months. And what did we learn? Maybe some things, takeaways, maybe some key things we want to look at next time they come back to our program. So it's a great way to kind of put a little bow on the program at the end and give you a little report back of the results that we had. So just to kind of show you some of the things that we do deliver is this is kind of our sample lead sheet. I don't have names on here, but you can see kind of the VAR or the company's name, the contact's name and email. And then I'm across the grid here, and for Q1 and Q2, I'm recording their talking points. So the notes that I took. So if they are familiar with you or partner with you, I write that down. But if they say I've never heard of them, that gets noted here, and I consider that a lead. That's color coded in green. That's what I consider a warm lead. Now they might also say something else interesting, like here they wanted to coordinate maybe doing a blog post on a certain topic. So maybe they're already familiar with you, but that's worth following up. And if they did raise their hand here, it's going to be noted in blue. Those are what I consider hot leads. And so here, this person had a prospect in the next 3 to 6 months. So again, if they asked for more information or had requested more info, I would have sent that intro that same day and followed up with any information they already told me. But you'll see it here on the lead sheet as well. And this is kind of what I do once I meet with a partner. I always send a summary email. And so it's always going to have a little box there for each of the ISVs we presented. It's branded, it's got your contact information, a little bit about you, links to your website, and then also any exclusive offers that you made for that partner during that session. And they always have that so they can go back. And so I always follow up with every contact I meet with. Again, the personalized introduction. So here's an example of one of those, what I considered a hot lead. So it's branded. It kind of has an outline of, hey, thanks for your interest. Here's some follow-up information. And then I've copied and I tell them who I'm going to copy from your company, who's going to follow up with them. So they know kind of the handoff and the introduction is going to happen here at this point. You do get that listing on our website. So again, if you go to dynamicsconnections.com, you'll see the ISV library tab there. And then you can, once you register, you can filter on topics, maybe AP automation or EDI. And you can also filter on Business Central versus Acumatica versus finance and supply chain. So that's a good way for partners to go in and do their own research anytime. And then we also do work with the partnerindex.com is their website. They do give us a free 6 months listing for all of our customers that want to participate. So we kind of have a little turnkey process to get at least a basic listing set up for you. And then you can take that, see if that's something you want to continue to do. I do recommend you look at it as another alternative for having your name in the market. They also do a welcome post. So you can see here, like they welcomed one of our clients, GP365. So that's pretty nice. And then again, we do a lot to try to bring you on board, try not to make that too stressful. We have a pretty proven process we've used over and over. It works pretty well with due dates, and anybody that's helping with, say, the marketing materials, providing the PowerPoint slides, will be involved in that startup, what we call Great Starter onboarding. And then again, we do that wrap up session at the end. We call it our final debrief, and we'll go for the overall metrics for that semester, as well as your individual results, observations, and recommendations. So VARs are definitely ready to meet. So let me go over some results though, because I always like numbers. I'm an accountant at heart. I love spreadsheets and data, and so we have lots of data to share. But I will send you the slide deck so you can review those metrics. So we'll kind of go over our results over the last recent sessions. I do like this chart because this tells you one thing I do periodically is I take a snapshot of our partners who are in our program, how many customers they have. So on the dynamic side, we have, this is probably a year old now, but we had 160 partners on GP. A lot of those were also in Business Central or maybe F&O or NAV, how many customers they have. And you can see here that our Business Central number of partners that do that are growing. We had at least 10 more that as of a year ago, so BC was in their future. Another area that people ask me about is, well, what industries does your partners that you meet with carry? So we're meeting with partners in North America, right? Canada, US primarily. But you can see here that supply chain, distribution, and manufacturing are kind of the two highest in terms of the types of industries they support. Not-for-profits, professional services, healthcare, financial services, construction, and so forth. So it's kind of interesting to see. We have the two highest are our distribution and manufacturing. And then I also get this question is, what roles do you meet with? In those one-on-one meetings, we usually have a pretty good split between consultants, maybe they're a BC consultant or a pre-sales solution architect. On the sales side, we have usually account executives, account managers, customer success managers, again, pre-sales solution architects, biz dev. So that's, I'd say probably half our attendees are probably on the sales side and half are consultants. Now, the Acumatica side, again, I took a snapshot of our database about a year ago. This is a good way to kind of see that overlap, and you'll see why I decided Acumatica was the next ERP I was going to go into. On here, we've got the Dynamics GP and the Dynamics Business Central. So you can see here we had how many are active in our program here in red, and blue, this is how many we have in our database. So I'm not meeting with everyone, just for whatever reason they aren't meeting with me, but we do have overlap with those Acumatica partners, which is interesting because in our database on the Acumatica side, we had over 100. We're targeting 30 VARs. At that time, at least a year ago, we had 21 active Acumatica partners in our program. And of course, we also looked at Intact and NetSuite. We just didn't have as many partners that also had a practice in those areas. So we just based on the numbers, we picked Acumatica as our next area to expand. Now, some key metrics from fall, you can take a look at these charts and graphs later, but this is just, we just concluded the fall, been presenting the fall debriefs, the metrics and results to our ISV clients. So this last semester, we had 300 total leads with 57 hot, so 17%, and average was 54 leads per ISV. So some got more, some got less. Also, some attendance metrics. We met with 130 companies, and we had an average of 23 VAR meetings a month. On the Acumatica side, so this is targeting a smaller group of partners. So our target was 30 to 35 partners. We had generated 66 leads. And again, we have 5 ISVs in this program at a time. We met with 42 sales reps and 31 VARs. So it's pretty good. And then this is just kind of giving an example of the breakdown of individual leads or totals from the fall for each of the ISVs. So I know it's kind of an eye chart, sorry. I'm just realizing how small that number is, but You can see here the two highest here were X Monthly and XPR 365. They were pretty brand new to our program, and partners did not know about them. So we got a lot of never heard of them kind of responses and a good number of hot leads too. Taslet was new to us, but they're pretty familiar. Most people have met them over the last couple of years. And then we've had Vicinity GP365 in our program before. RecLogic, they were new to our program this fall, but they're not new to the channel. But they had new products. They had now been compatible for Business Central for the last couple of years. And so we were able to kind of introduce that to partners, even though they had worked with them in the past. Here's on the Acumatica side. So again, we had 5 ISVs for that semester. Leads per month, you can kind of see here, and this kind of actually follows when you look at our metrics for attendance too. The month of September was pretty high. People are back from vacations, I'm guessing, and January was pretty high, with December and November pretty low. So usually during the holidays, we start seeing people asking me to reschedule to January, and then January gets extremely busy for me to try to reschedule or make up those sessions. Here's kind of similar metrics here for the fall Acumatica. And we had overall 130 VAR meetings. And so this shows you kind of that, which averaged out to 23 meetings per month. So again, my 5 to 7 meetings per week average. On the Acumatica side, I have 1 to 2 meetings per week on average. And again, we also track and host our hosted webinars. So again, I use that as our makeup session for partners, but also we do invite everyone on our mailing list. Also, we send out a LinkedIn invite. So we had a good number of people registered here in the fall and about 36 attendees. Also on the Acumatica side. And then we had what I consider responses. So this is really looking not just at warm or hot leads responses, actually all their responses. So I put them in categories. So it's kind of interesting to see the top 5 responses. So we had in this group for fall, the Dynamics group, we had 51 that said they were active with them. They're probably already a partner or have mutual clients. A whole lot of them were familiar with that group. But we also had a pretty even split with new to them. So it kind of reflects that we had some newer ISVs and maybe some that were more familiar, pretty even there. Interested or had a prospect in mind. So maybe they had an opportunity or wanted to follow up. That could be they raised their hand and asked for an introduction. But sometimes, again, those comments on the lead sheets actually could lead to an opportunity and someone will need to follow up on that. And then attendance at our large group webinars. So that's just webinar attendees. And when you look at kind of the overall actionable responses, so now I'm looking at where they said more new to them, or perhaps they had a prospect in mind or asked for some follow-up. We had a pretty good split here, and about 75% were saying they were new to them. As you can see here, that was a pretty high number. And 25% had a follow-up or had a prospect in mind. On the Acumatica side, kind of similar charts here of those responses. And just kind of in summary, again, we've been doing this for 8 years. We've got a proven track record. And on the Dynamics program, we see a pretty high number there because that's the highest number of partners that participate. On a weekly basis, you're getting those contacts or leads that we send out and personal introductions throughout the week. And many ISVs say the kind of the best value of being in our program is getting those warm introductions. So kind of our goal is to help you get that meeting, right? Open that door, introduce you to them so they have an opportunity to reach out or connect with you. So again, I mentioned we have our 2 sessions per year. So we have our spring session, which goes from February 1st all the way through July. Then our fall session starts August 1st and goes through January. So we're probably now at this point talking about if you're going to join looking at fall. You can choose your exclusive category again for the BC or finance and supply chain. We're opening that up to a full hour. So we can do up to 10 ISV categories in 1 hour. So we have lots of space there. And then the GP or Acumatica program, that's a half-hour session targeting those 5 categories or 10. depending on which one. And again, once that, like if you have a payroll topic or AP automation, once that topic has been signed up for, then you have to wait. So it is first come, first serve. So I would say some popular categories like AP or AR automation those get filled up pretty much right away. So sign up early. And these are our options. Again, we have the BC dedicated session, either spring or fall, that's targeting 180 SMB VARs. On the finance and supply chain, we have about 40 VARs that also do finance and supply chain. On GP, we still have a good number of GP partners. I'm guessing about 80. We just kind of split that session and from the GP and Business Central into their own dedicated sessions. So that's kind of a guess of how many active GP partners we have. On the Acumatica side, we're still targeting that 30 to 35 partners. So this is, again, just reflecting that. So the price is going to be commensurate with the number of targeted VARs in each program. So if you look here, these are the prices, and I will send you the slide deck as well as a brochure that has all the pricing information, but we just charge a flat fee for you to participate. So it's if you're doing Business Central, for example, you would be paying me $17.50 per month. So I don't take referrals or commissions. Never really found a way to make that work. So we just found if you just pay us, join our program, we have our processes, and we usually get you some good results with that. And that has the most number of partners because we've been doing this. Group is the one we've been meeting with the longest, some of them over the last 8 years or plus. On the finance and supply chain, we just started this program this year. So we're kicking that with an introductory price of $1,500 a month. Again, we have 10 spots there. We're targeting about 40 enterprise VARs. On the GP side, we have about 80, and that's only $750 a month. Again, we're trying to balance like how many VARs and how many leads are you going to get versus the cost. So that's come down a bit. Acumatica, again, we're targeting 30 Acumatica VARs, so we have a pretty good track record there now over the last couple of years. And we're introducing a new program for 2026. So you guys actually are the first ones to hear about this. It is coming soon, hopefully within the next month. We wanted to start this new webinar series called the Partner Shootout. So the Partner Shootout is a webinar. So you get to do a 10-minute demo of your solutions. We're going to present products in similar topics. So we're going to have AP. So that's why it's a shootout, right? You're going to talk about what your strengths are, what makes you unique, and what are your unique differentiators in that webinar. You're also going to be included in a detailed comparison matrix that we'll give the partners as well. So that's going to be a really great value because I have partners all the time saying, I don't understand what's the difference between this or that product. So we wanted to do a head-to-head comparison and shootout where partners can listen to you, hear a little bit about your solution. And so it's going to be very partner focused, which is different showcases out there, which is kind of generic demos for everyone. We're going to give for the webinar a list of questions we'd like you to answer. And also that comparison matrix is going to be a huge help to those partners. Our first two topics, shootout number 1 is going to be AP automation. Shootout number 2 is going to be AR automation. And those are two that seem to be the most crowded spaces. And so we decided we'll start with those because there's a lot of opportunities for partners to join that and learn. We have the pricing set, $750 for kind of that basic participation of the webinar. We also will add a premier level, which will give you some more details later, but the premier is going to probably get like a higher position on that webinar list. You're going to get listed first. You're going to get some other additional ways to kind of highlight your solution in that presentation. All right, so next steps would be if you're interested in joining our fall semester, please email me at Carol Livingston Dynamics Connections. please just reach out to me. The next step would be then after that to review our proposal and sign a memo of understanding. If you sign that agreement, the memo of understanding, that will secure your spot for fall. And I would say, especially in some of those categories that are very popular, to get your exclusive topic locked down. And so save your spot, sign up early. And then we'll get that kickoff meeting started probably around mid-May. We'll start August 1st for fall, but that gives us plenty of time to get ready and accommodate your schedules and holiday or vacations plans as well during the summer. So reach out to me, Carol at dynamicsconnections.com. Our website again is www.dynamicsconnections.com. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining today, and I appreciate you being part of our webinar today, and I will send you all the details after the recording is downloaded